Hello again, my name's Daniel. This is my channel Guilty Feet because I've got no rhythm. I'm here today to do a hybrid version of the BookTube Newbie, new to BookTube tags. I took the best questions or some of the questions from each and mixed them together and thought I would let you know a little bit about why I'm doing this. So question one is, why did you start this channel? And that is a rather convoluted tale involving a stolen manuscript, a tricycle and an escaped orangutan, and let's just say that when the judge offered me community service I leapt at the chance, and pending parole violations I have to do 120 hours of this. Where are you joining us from? I am about 20 kilometers north of Tel Aviv, 8 kilometers east of the Mediterranean coast, and it's a gorgeous suburb, a bit later in the day, but still beautiful. How old are you? I'm 51 and a half, thank you for asking. I turned 50 last year and wrote something on my Guilty Feet blog, which I don't really do anymore, but I will link below and you can hear exactly what I think about being 50. When did you start reading? Well, there's like lots of starts, right, of a reader's life. So I guess I learned to read at quite a young age. My mum taught me, and I was a precocious early reader before school. And then I guess really I started reading when I'm 18, 19 years old, and you started buying books for myself for the first time. So probably then again there's another start when I started keeping tabs on my reading on Goodreads. So probably 4 or 5 years ago I made a leap from a book a week to a bit more than that. What is the meaning behind your channel name? Well, it's a pun. Guilty Feet is from a song by George Michael. So I chose it when I was started a blog a few years ago, and Guilty Feet is kind of, I guess, something in which you take dubious pride. So a guilty feat might be having and reading a lot of books. What are some of the fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? Well, apart from the obvious, one of the things that I love about books and reading is sourcing books. Because I live in Israel, I can buy English books locally, but they're expensive. I can have books shipped to me here in Israel, but that's also expensive. So I often have books shipped to my mother in London, or if I'm getting to the States, I have books shipped to wherever I'm going there. I buy books all around the world whenever I get a chance to travel, and that's part of the enjoyment for me, is the tracking down, sourcing and buying books. So one of the things I want to do on this channel is talk about, try and be transparent about what that hobby cost me, because I buy everything I read. I try to read everything that I buy, and I'm therefore kind of price conscious about what I buy. If I want to buy a new book or if I buy a second-hand book, those are the kind of things I'm thinking about. Sometimes I will choose between books based on whether I can get hold of it, whether I can get it to me, when I can get it to me, and how much it costs me. So I want to include that. If that gets dull for people, then I won't, but I think that's interesting to me. I like to hear how much people spend on these things. I know some people get books sent for free, and I don't. So to me, that's kind of interesting in the great big hobby of books and reading. I'd like to talk about that, and some other stuff I guess might be of interest to people, but we'll find out. What are you most excited about? What am I excited for about this channel? Well, let's just get this out of the way. Start with the money. Who wouldn't be? And I'd be lying if I didn't say that was super exciting. The adulation, the fans, the respect. I think all these things are interesting to me. I'm getting to listen to the sound of my own voice quite a lot in the editing process, and then watching back my videos every half hour to boost the viewing figures. I think that's quite the fame. I know it's a double-edged sword, but who doesn't like to come home after a long day at work, as you come into your building, sort of throw a quick blue steel at the paps, and then ride your elevator up to your penthouse and just sit there thinking how much better you are than everyone else. It's just part of it. Where do you read? Well, we have 3 toilets in this apartment. I've got the ensuite, but that's a little bit drafty. We've got the big bathroom, the children's bathroom, where the washing machine and the dryer are, so that can get quite cozy. And then there's the guest toilet, which doesn't have a window but has that sort of annoying ventilator system, so there's those. And then there's my little reading nook, which we built in here with the shelves above and those little spots that come down on you while you're reading. And there on the wall there on the left, as you're looking at it, is the cross stitch about books that my mother made me for my birthday, and then a print of a piece of art that called The Great Bear by Simon Pattinson, that we picked up in the Tate Modern a few years ago, a while ago. What book or series got you into reading? I mean, so many. Noddy, when I was very young, I read a lot of those. And I guess as an independent reader, probably Narnia. When I'm sort of 7, 8 years old, I worked through those and I did them in reading order. So I started with The Magician's Nephew, and the world of Narnia is created, and I read right through. Something I don't do with series anymore, but I remember going through them one after the other. They would magically appear in my room, which meant that my mum was buying them for me as I read each one. And I remember getting all the way to the last battle, which is a devastating uncreation of Narnia, which I found very, very tough, hard to understand why the world would be uncreated. Looking back at it now with adult eyes, I know it's all about the world to come and the glory of heaven. I was very upset about it then. I'm still pretty angry about it now. What challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be hardest to overcome? I think the same as everyone else. This is very dull. Consistency. I know enough about video making to know that consistency and delivering content on a regular basis is a key part of building an audience and building trust with an audience. And I guess that's going to be the hardest thing, to make sure that I can keep doing this. What kind of books do you like to read? I guess this collection is probably 80% fiction that is some of which I guess is what they call literary fiction, which I've never really liked that term. I read crime fiction, I read non-fiction and memoirs, biographies and general non-fiction. I read a lot of graphic novels. A whole bunch of stuff, children's fiction occasionally. I like to dip into things without being too focused on one particular genre, maybe. I don't know. I try to read widely. Who are some of your favourite authors? So I guess Thomas Hardy, James Elroy, Martin Amis, Ian McEwan, Salman Rushdie, Zadie Smith, Jesmyn Ward, Ellen Gilchrist, Ann Tyler, Garth Ennis, lots of people that I read multiple books by them, the Brontes and Jane Austen, of course. Just reading Trollope at the moment, or trying to read more of his. A whole bunch of authors. What do you use for bookmarks? Well, that's an excellent question. I have an answer for this. For bookmarks, I use a bookmark. These are actually very special ones. This is a friend of mine for my birthday made me a series of bookmarks which have my name on them and the fact that I was turning 50. This one says, Daniel, 50, keep calm and read on. So she made me 5 of these. This is my friend Lynn. Very, very kind. It was one of the best presents you can give her, someone who loves books. So I've got 5 of these, but I'm a serial monogamist. So I read one book at a time and I transfer my bookmark into a new book as soon as I finish one book. So that started with 5. One of them I lost already last year in the States. So this is the second of the 5. I have 3 more here, which I preserve here, which hopefully I will have in time to turn 60, and when I will request more of these. So the ones I have left are Daniel, 50, fell asleep here. Daniel, 50, sleep is good, books are better. And then Daniel, 50, my book is better than your tablet, which I think is some kind of commentary on self-medication. Show us your current TBR pile. No, shan't. It's embarrassingly large, probably 80 to 100 books in there at the moment. There's another 60, 70 books waiting for me at my mum's apartment in London, mum's flat, sorry, in London, because I thought I was going to be there this week, and so I ordered a whole bunch of books, sent them there, and I'm not there to pick them. So my TBR spans 2 continents. We're about to go into another lockdown here, which means I will work through the TBR books that I've had sitting here for a while. I'll probably read a few of those, a lot of backlist, because I don't have any new books at the moment, so that's good in as much I'll get through some of the stuff which I bought fully intending to reading and haven't done for a while. Yeah, maybe I'll do a thing on my TBR, but I'm not a big fan of the idea of TBRs, even though I have to have books because I don't want to run out. But I don't, in my Goodreads, for example, where I religiously mark up every book that I finished, I don't have anything in my to read section. Like, I don't mark anything as to be read. I don't put in, even when I buy a book that I'm planning to read, I don't put it in there. I don't want to have any pressure or stress of when I'm going to get to it. So I've had books sitting there. Some of them may have been, I have books in my TBR that have been there for 20 years. I also have books that come in new and get read the following week. I try not to be precious or self-conscious about it, but it is an embarrassingly large pile of books that I have not got to yet. But I will. Which do you prefer, hardcover or paperback, ebooks or physical books? I only read physical books. I don't read ebooks. I mean, I have read a book on my phone, but that was only when I was supposed to be at a trade show working, and couldn't actually have a book out in front of all the people. So I had my phone and read something that way. But yeah, no, I only read physical books, hardback or paperback. I don't care. I'm kind of agnostic depending how they come. You know, occasionally I would want something in hardback, or I would want something in paperback just because I like the prettiness of having a set. But I really don't care how it comes. Occasionally, if there's only out in hardback, I might splash for a hardback, or I may wait for it to come out in paperback. Who cares? Owning or borrowing books. I like to own all the books that I read, and I like to read all the books that I own. I do not borrow books, and it happens a lot. People find out you're a reader and they say, oh, I've read this, let me lend it to you. And I don't borrow books from people. I do lend my books to people, which not everyone who likes to own books does. I don't mind. I love lending books. It's my craziness, my mishigas, that I want to keep everything that I own, and I do kind of have everything that I've read. I've got some books here going back to when I was 8-9 years old, so some books I've had here that have been with me for 40 plus years, and that's my craziness. I like lending books to people. It's, you know, a book that I've spent money on, read and spent maybe 2, 3, 4 hours with. It's crazy that it wouldn't get read by someone else. So I try not to be precious about it. I mostly get books back from people that I've lent them to, but if I don't, it's only a book. I love being surrounded by books, but I often in these crazy times, I have a few people who have come here and left with armloads of books that I've lent them, and usually they're pretty good about giving them back. How did you discover BookTube? Well, again, this is a sort of lockdown special. I mean, I was not unfamiliar with YouTube, but finding this niche of BookTube has been one of the joys of this year. So, you know, originally when I'm looking for bookish content, there was a lot of BookTube content that seemed to be not necessarily about the books that I was interested in, and then I started finding BookTube content that was people talking about books that I'm kind of interested in, and then the best of all, people doing both. So, you know, I try not to limit myself. I can't read only one kind of fiction, so I tend to veer away from those channels that are very focused on one specific kind of book. But I love the eclecticism of the channels that I follow, and the ideas and the recommendations, and then just the enthusiasm. Anyone talking about books is a good thing, even if it's not a book I'm necessarily going to read, just as long as it's not too one note. Where else can we find you? I'm on Goodreads, probably the best place to find me, under my actual name. Well, there's a link. I put the link to Goodreads somewhere around. I'm also on Twitter under my real name. There's only 2 of us in the entire world called Daniel Sevitt, so if you find someone, it's either me or my cousin, who's also called Daniel Sevitt. But yeah, Goodreads, start with Goodreads and Twitter and Facebook. Yeah, I'm on Instagram and I Litsy, and I've done a few bits and pieces, but I'm not great on those platforms. So but I'd love to find you on Goodreads or in some other chat thing or in the comments, or, well, enough. At 15 minutes, God bless you if you're still here. Thank you very much. I'm out. Bye.